stand in the pledge is led by Mr. Doris Jernigan.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, personal moment, I'm thinking about what a great country we live in. We take our pledge for granted. It's not something that we should do. I'm listening to a tape by Pet Gunn, and he's things that have brought this great country to where it is today. So I'd invite us all to cover our hearts and repeat the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that, Doris. Our pledge is very important. Have a moment of silence, and while you're having this moment of silence, maybe meditate on our country for a little bit, see what you might think about it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
One of our board members is not here tonight due to illness, and he's going to have kidney surgery or kidney stone surgery Friday, so we need Donald.
Yes, sir. Yeah, be thinking about Mr. Jernigan, too. I should have said that, and I didn't. All right. Approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I want to clarify one thing.
Okay, go ahead.
Last night we
Mr.
had a discussion on the vendor that will do septic tank removal. And we do in fact have 7 septic tanks. I thought we did, if you remember. We thought it might have been a grease trap, but it was removal, but it wasn't. And those folks have a legitimate license and they're eligible to do business with Rutherford County Board of Education. Therefore, we're going to recommend that be included as part of the consent agenda.
Any other questions on the consent agenda? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Zoning exemption, James.
Ms. McLeod needs to swear them all in. If you're here tonight, please stand. Ms. McLeod over here can swear you in.
Raise your right hand, please. You swear affirm the testimony you will give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the penalties of perjury.
Okay. Board members, the printed packet that I gave you last night is actually in reverse order. So they're correct on the agenda online, but they're in backwards order on printed copies. So we're going to start with number 3, which is Ms. Richardson. If you would, please come on up to the podium. She has also passed out a packet just before the meeting that you should have. It has an additional note in it that you hadn't seen before. If you would, Ms. Richardson, just state your case. And Ms. Richardson is requesting a zone exemption from Oakland Middle School to Siegel Middle School. She's been denied because Siegel Middle School is an overcrowded school. The Brittany subdivision was rezoned to Oakland. Go ahead.
My name is Becky Richardson, and I have my daughter Mariah Richardson and Catherine White, which is Mariah's tutor.
With Mike a little closer.
Okay, sorry. Mariah has had difficulty since first grade in school. We had her tested at that time. She wasn't far enough behind, and she struggled through school for 5 years. No teachers had ever said anything about her having issues learning and that. At 5th grade, I had her privately tested through the Center of Dyslexia, and she does indeed have dyslexia. I also, at that time, hired the private tutor, so Mariah has been going to tutoring once a week and sometimes twice a week since October of 2008. She started Siegel Middle School 6th grade at a 3rd grade reading level, but yet had been in resource for 3 years. By the time she ended that first year, she was up to a 6th grade reading level. So in 1 year at Siegel Middle, she went up 3 reading levels. I feel like I've been advocating for the last 5 years trying to get her an appropriate education. She finally, I feel like, got the education that she deserves at Siegel Middle. That 1 year at Siegel, and I feel like not allowing her to go to Siegel to continue on the right path of education, she will regress. I will also tell you that during that time at Walter Hill, we spent repeated time at the doctor's office. She had stomach ailments. I got multiple phone calls and emails from the teachers about it, but I took her to the doctor repeatedly, and she had x-rays and everything done, and we have never found anything wrong with her stomach. Also, anxiety issues that the doctor has been treating her for. And I would like Catherine to come up, too, and talk a little bit about the tutoring sessions and that.
Hi, I'm Catherine White. I'm Mariah's tutor, and I thank you for the opportunity to advocate for her. On occasion, at the bookstore where we have our sessions, we'll have to sit in a different area, and this change causes her to shut down for the rest of the session. Can't reach her. So to change schools, in my opinion, would be a huge change that would interfere with her education. Last school year was her first year at Siegel Middle. It was also her first year to have her educational needs met. So she and her mother trust the environment and the staff at Siegel. After years of damaging experiences, please exempt Mariah from the zoning change and allow her to continue her success at Siegel. I think from that foundation, she can then be prepared to face the changes that inevitably come our way in life. And she no longer has the stomach issues, and one of the letters in your packet is from her doctor stating that she hasn't had those issues this year. Thank you, and if you would turn to the last page of your packet, Mariah Richardson herself would like to read that document to you.
Dear Board of Education, I absolutely love Ms. Fisher at Siegel Middle School. She helps me with so much with my education. If something is small printed, she will make a size I can read better. My mom and tutor helps me so much so I can have a proper education. I love my mom and tutor for getting me here, and most moms don't care as much as my mom does. Thank you for taking your time for my education. Can't I stay at Siegel Middle?
So we'd like to read some questions that we asked Mariah and some of the answers. I'm going to read the question, and Catherine's going to play Mariah's role in these, if you'll listen to those. We asked her what she liked about Siegel Middle.
She said they're always eager to help you and achieve your learning goals, and they always want you to make goal, like all the teachers.
And what scares you about changing schools?
I feel if I change schools, then Mariah starts crying. Don't know. The teachers and staff. I'm afraid if I change schools, I'm not really sure what education I would get at the other school.
And then we asked her what was so hard about the homework.
It was just too much, really long and very, very hard. The way they were worded, I couldn't really understand it that well. Sometimes I didn't finish it and would get yelled at because I didn't finish it. Then the teacher went to another teacher and said, "This is unacceptable." I felt like they were criticizing me instead of helping me.
And how has Siegel changed your education?
And Mariah says, "It gave me a better chance of education because they let me learn instead of criticizing me, and gave me the best education I've gotten. They've helped me a whole lot. I don't like changing schools, but when I went from Walter Hill to Siegel, I just felt better at Siegel and more appreciated. And I like the way Siegel teaches you. And if you do good, you get to have extra things like breaks and pep rallies. I just think that Siegel is a better school because they just get me."
Have any questions?
Jernigan? Mr. Richardson, two questions. Where's Antler Drive?
It's off of Jefferson Pike near BFI. And also, if I could, I wanted to also tell you in the beginning, and I'd forgotten, I do have 4 children, 2 of which go to Walter Hill, 1 at Siegel High, and then Mariah, which is zoned for Oakland Middle.
She has mental telepathy. That was the second question. Thank you.
Terry?
I've got a couple questions here myself. When she gets done at Siegel Middle, what kind of plans you got for high school?
I feel like high school she could go to Oakland. I really want, while she's in resource, I'd like her to continue on the path that she is since she went up the 3 grade levels in the year. I want her to hopefully be out of resource at the time that she goes to high school, and I feel like high school would be fine to then move to Oakland High. I'm sorry.
I guess the next question I got relates to Oakland Middle. How do you know Siegel's going to be better than Oakland Middle?
I don't know that. I don't think anybody knows that at this point since it's a brand new school. From where she came from and the issues that she had before, I just feel like it would be better for her to stay at the school that she's comfortable with and has done so well in her education.
Mr. Blair?
I just have to wonder that, is it the program more than the environment, that she has prospered because of the middle school program throughout our system, and that it really, not taking anything away from Siegel, but that Siegel complies with the direction that the central office has given this system, and knowing the principal, Ms. Eaton, at Oakland Middle, it just seems to me that the program and the environment is still going to be there, and there may be some adjustment, but I'm wondering if she, or at least I'm feeling confident that she will thrive there, because she just got up in front of a television audience and all these strangers and read a statement, and that was pretty impressive for her to do that.
And it is, but I also had to show her last month's online version and tell her and let her virtually meet everyone to make her comfortable enough to do that. And when we were sitting there, she said, "I don't want to go up there." And I said, "Please go up there." So she really didn't want to get up here, but she did. And, of course, she didn't talk that loud. But in answer to your other question, I guess I have a question, and I'm sorry I'm asking a question with a question, but do you not expect the same are the lower grades, the elementary schools, not held to the same level? Because I'm wondering why, if that's the case, if it's a school-wide thing, why she was 3 reading levels 3 years behind going from a Rutherford County school to the middle school.
I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I'll take that. For example, what instrument was used to, measure her first, that she was 3 levels behind, and what was used to measure that she raised 3 grades?
Okay, we had her tested at Center of Dyslexia, which said by the end of 5th grade, I do have the paperwork with me, that says that she was at a third grade reading level. I also, at the end of sixth grade, asked Siegel Middle School to retest her because I wanted to know kind of how she went up, you know, whether it was a year or how many years. And Siegel Middle actually retested her and said at that time that she was at a sixth grade reading level. And Walter Hill also did testing previous to her going to Siegel Middle too.
You know, can I say something? I'm very proud of what she did a minute ago. I know it took a lot for her to do that. She stood up and she did it, and I'm very proud of her. And I want her to know that. And the reason I'm saying that is because I want her to know that she can do anything in this world that she wants to do if she puts her mind to it. The issue about whether Walter Hill or Siegel or any other school, why did they do this or why didn't they do that? There's probably people that would tell you that Walter Hill is the greatest school in this county. And it goes from one school to another. It's just how students react to each separate place. She's evidently done very well at Siegel, and I think that's a good thing. I don't think that issue helps your case, but the board can make a decision on that. Martin, go ahead.
I agree completely with that, Rick. I think we're getting sidetracked. What, to me, is the main issue, and it's a dilemma that we've had ever since I've been on this board, is that we have a doctor's letter making a recommendation, presumably based on a medical opinion, and now, in essence, we're asked to sit in judgment of that. So it's not about, for me, it's not about what happened at Walter Hill or what might happen at Oakland Middle. It's about how do we look at that doctor's note. And
I agree.
I'm reluctant to overturn a medical opinion, although I do realize that that could open the floodgates that would be covered up with doctor's notes in the future. So that's sort of my.
I'm trying to find the doctor.
There is another issue here, though.
It's the next to the last place.
The reason it's not in your,
Hang on.
You don't read that, so.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the reason that it's not in your packet is that we didn't receive it until Monday. It was emailed to the board, so I made copies last night, and I have an additional copy here if we need it.
It's in, I
It's in
passed out a,
It's in the letter that you passed out.
yes, and it's the next to last page in it.
Let's see the letter, please.
And I do have to say that when we went to the doctor, he said, wow, we haven't seen you in a while. And I said, that's exactly why we're here, because you haven't seen us in a while. Because in sixth grade, she didn't go to this doctor, but yet in the previous grades, I got calls and emails almost, I know at least weekly, but sometimes it was daily. Mariah's tummy hurts, Mariah's sick, you know, and different things like that. And I kept taking her to the doctor, getting the x-rays and paying for all the other things that go with that, and there was nothing wrong.
Obviously, we want what's best for Mariah, I think, and the board will make some decision. I don't know what they're thinking, but if there are any more questions or.
Okay, I got one more.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, you said you have two younger children at Walter Hill.
Yes.
Now, what's going to happen if we grant this request and then they come to be middle school age? Are you going to want them to go to Siegel as well?
No, sir. They can go to Oakland Middle, and the difference is they are not in resource or special education. They are excelling in reading and, you know, are not behind educationally. So.
And what grades are they in, please, at Walter Hill?
I have a second grader, a fifth grader, and an 11th grader.
So next year, you would, if she's in the seventh, will be in
Yes.
rising seventh?
Yes.
So she'll be in the eighth next year, should the board grant your request at Siegel, and then you'd have a sixth grader at Oakland. And that's not an issue?
No.
And
I'll
you
have
would
4
agree
and
that she
4.
would go to Oakland in the ninth grade?
Yes, that's.
You ready for a motion?
Yes.
I'm going to move that we grant this appeal, this request, with the provision that the younger children go to Oakland Middle, and that when Mariah is ready for high school, she goes to Oakland High.
Second.
Any more discussion?
That's good. Your 11th grader, where do they go?
Siegel High.
Is that a rising 11th grader or?
They'll be in the 11th this year.
Yes, she'll be in 11th this year.
Any other questions?
I do want, before you vote, I want her to understand that she'll be going to Oakland High School in 2 years. You have to make that move.
And then next year, they would have children in 2 different middle schools.
Right.
Is that my understanding?
All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It is granted.
Thank you.
Okay, our next appeal is for the Merriman family, Michelle Merriman. If she would step up to the podium, please. Ms. Merriman has asked for a zone exemption for her child to transfer from Riverdale to Blackman High School. It was denied because Blackman High School is an open public school.
Hello, thank you for letting me come here and speak with you today. My name is Michelle Merriman. My son, Christian Herman, he's not with me this evening, I have him home with his father, will be a 9th grader when school resumes next month. I'm here to ask that he be allowed to attend Blackman High School, and currently we live at 2334 Riverstone Drive, which is zoned for Riverdale High School. Although, during the summer of '09, which was the summer prior to his 8th grade year, we were made aware that our neighborhood was rezoned, and it was dual zoned, I was informed, for Riverdale and Blackman. We had no idea that as school started for his 8th grade year, that we needed to make a choice before he had finished his 8th grade year, which high school he wanted to go to. That information never came to us as an incoming 8th grader, which makes sense because he wasn't going to high school at that point. We did not find out that the zones had changed until towards the end of his 8th grade year, just this past year. Before we found out, he had visited with a counselor from Blackman High School. They had hammered out his schedule. We had toured Blackman High School, still under the impression that that is where we were zoned. He was registered for Advanced Honors English, Advanced Honors Chemistry, Advanced Honors Geography. He's a very intelligent boy. He has no interest in sports, just education. This is a child who has been a Boy Scout since he was a Tiger Cub. Excuse me. He's 2 steps away from earning his Eagle Scout, and he has told me that that's his ultimate goal for right now. He has finally decided that he wants to be a mechanical engineer. And I think that right now, a high school education is crucial. A good high school education is crucial. I'm not saying anything against Riverdale. I'm sure it's a good high school. But it is a sports-oriented high school. That's not what my child is leaning towards. My child needs a good education, and I'm here to fight for that. I understand that Blackman is overcrowded, but so is Riverdale. And according to the Tennessee Department of Education 2009 report card, Blackman had 1,898 students. Riverdale, 2,365 students. I would say Riverdale's more overcrowded than Blackman. If it's imperative that those numbers not change, how about considering a zone waiver for a student who is in Blackman zone, who wants to be on a great high school football team, basketball team, baseball team, and wants to go to Riverdale? You're not changing numbers. I would also like to make you aware that I will guarantee his transportation to and from school myself. He didn't miss a single day of school last year. He is an A&E student, and he has goals. Please, please, help me let him meet these goals.
Go ahead, Mr. Dillon.
And let me say one thing. First of all, Riverdale does have an outstanding sports program.
Absolutely.
I think Blackman would say that they do too. They made the state football playoffs last year as well as state girls basketball tournament the year before. And I know how competitive Miss Vicky is. But I would also go on record saying Riverdale works extremely hard in academics and has produced some real scholars out there. So whatever your academic needs are, I think they could certainly meet them as well as Blackman. That said, you say you pre-registered at Blackman High School?
Yes, I did.
At what point did they ascertain that you weren't in their zone?
The last week of school.
The last week of last year,
Yes.
last spring?
Yes, and that's when
So
I
that's when
started.
they notified you and you applied for the zone exemption?
Correct. And I hand-delivered the zone waiver to both high schools and then brought it here myself to make sure it was in.
And if I might ask one more question, then I'll let the board take over. The eighth grade, when we had them declare, I think this is do you live off Cason Lane?
I do.
Yeah.
On the wrong side of Cason Lane.
Yeah. When we had the Cason Lane incoming ninth graders declare, did that apply to this last year or the year before?
Well, I can offer some clarification
Okay,
to all
sure.
of this. Last year, when the board was doing the rezoning between Riverdale and Blackman, there were some grandfathering options talked about because, a lot of people wanted to stay at Riverdale. And the board asked me to send out a survey to eligible rising ninth graders, this past year's ninth graders. Miss Merriman's son was not eligible. He was not a rising ninth grader. We sent out a school messenger to all eligible students. We gave them a specific deadline to notify us, and we had about 30 people take that. The board remembers that. And they filled up the open spots that we have. Both schools are now floating around. They ended the school year around 2,100 students. You guys saw that information last night. And then the projections for enrollment for 2013 is that Blackman will be at 2,600 students and Riverdale will be at 2,400. So that's why Blackman and Riverdale are both on the overcrowded list. Ms. Merriman has misunderstood that option was going to be available this year, but I believe that we were clear because we only notified the students who qualified for that option last year. Secondly, I hate to say this to Ms. Merriman, but the application we received was the first week of May, which was not the last week of school. That was about 3 to 4 weeks before the end of the school. I have your application here in front of me, and it's dated May 7th. So, I don't know why she would have applied for a zone exemption if it was the last week of school that your son was notified.
Then I must have misunderstood. I don't have my paperwork.
They typically, the schools start in April, start meeting with eighth graders to start working out schedules for the next year.
But I was not notified at that point when he met with Blackman counselors that he was not zoned for Blackman.
Did the counselor come to the school, to the middle
Yes,
school?
they did. And
And
his
that's common.
counselor,
I'm sorry.
and his counselor is the one that informed him this is where he needed to go.
And it's common that the counselors come to the schools, and usually all the schools send out counselor teams to start meeting with students. I'm not sure why he was meeting with the Blackman counselor, but all of the high schools that have kids from that school that will be feeding into them typically visit the schools, usually starting around mid-April, spanning into May. So that's all the information I have, though. I can answer any questions from anyone if they have them.
Anyone have any questions?
If I just may.
Go ahead.
Again, off of the Tennessee Department of Education 2009 report card, Riverdale had an outstanding percentage passing English exams of 97%. Blackman had 99. Percentage, 94 and 98 respectively in math. In English, which is my son's strong suit, Riverdale had a 97% and Blackman had a 99. Graduating percentage from Riverdale, 91.7%. Blackman, a 94.3%. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Riverdale. I'm sure it's a good school. It's not the education I want for my student. And I think, as a parent, it is my job to fight for what I think is best for my son. I have done that since day one, since he was born. If he was sick, I take him to the doctor. If he's in trouble, I make him pay for it. I punish him. I teach him that the world is fair. We moved here from Texas. about 4 years ago. And one thing that I've noticed a difference is that there is a team at every school that you can go to help you fight these battles. I've never been in a situation where I've had to fight for zoning or have been rezoned or any of that type of thing. But if I ever had a concern, there was a group in the school that I felt I could go to. I haven't really felt that here. I'm asking you to help be that I'm looking to help me get an education for my son.
Any questions? Mr. Terry?
I'll just make a few points to you. Let me say first, I respect your comments. But sitting up here as a board member, I'll assure you, you'll get the same education at Riverdale that you would at Blackman. You know, as far as percentages you look at, I don't, that's fine and good, but I don't think that's going to tell you the true meaning of what education you're going to get. In regards to your sports stuff, I hold Blackman as accountable as the rest of them as far as being sports-oriented schools. All of them are. And so I'd have to disagree with you on that. But just my personal opinion, I think your son will get an excellent education in Riverdale. That's just coming from me.
Anyone else? Need a motion, one way or the other?
I'll make a motion to deny.
Okay. Have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Denied.
Okay? If I've moved to the other side of Cason Lane in the middle of the year, will we be allowed to go to Blackman?
If you move it to the zone, yes, ma'am. Anyway,
Thank you.
The last appeal we have tonight is for the Carter family. They would like to come up. They're asking for a zone exemption to go from Oakland Middle School. They've also been rezoned. I believe they're in Brent Mead. No, you're not. You're in Dunaway Chapel. You're off Jefferson Pike. They're also out in Walter Hill, Lascassas area, and they've been rezoned to Oakland Middle School. You guys are aware that why we have denied Oakland Middle School, or Siegel Middle School is an overcrowded school. Go ahead.
Thank you for hearing my appeal. Just wanted to kind of introduce my family. I have 4 sons that are in the Rutherford County school system. This year, we had 3 last year, but new ones starting this year at Walter Hill. So we'll have 2 at Walter Hill, 1 at Oakland Middle, the way we're zoned today, and 1 at Siegel High. My kids have always been car riders. My wife does a great job taking the kids to school and making sure everybody gets there on time. It's very convenient for her to, let both kids out at Siegel Middle, and they use the sidewalk and walk back and forth. But and I made that point in my zoning appeal. Something I after doing more and more research, I had concerns also. I put that in the appeal about the choir program at Siegel Middle that my son has participated in. He's been in the choir since he was in 3rd grade at Walter Hill, and it's something he's come to enjoy. Something he really worked hard at. He, in the 6th grade, upon going to Siegel Middle, he joined the choir, auditioned for the Select Singers program, the advanced choir, was accepted into that, and also auditioned for the Tennessee Treble Honors Choir. And that's a special event that the kids, and I'm sure you guys know about this, but they only hand-picked just a few kids, and he was one of 2 kids at Siegel Middle in the 6th grade that got to go to Nashville War Memorial Building and do a performance with kids from all over the state. That was really neat. That kind of really accelerated his music interest and just wanted to do more. And 7th grade, he did kind of the same path, not the treble honor choir, but did the Select Singers. And these guys, they do a great job of getting the kids out in the community, getting them some real-life experience with. They performed, and I know Mr. Kelly knows this because he was at the performance they did at the Murfreesboro Funeral Home last year. They do the Christmas tree lighting every year. And this year, they're so good, they were invited by a composer that they do a lot of music for, to, this year they'll be traveling to New York on a opportunity to perform at Carnegie Hall or Lincoln Performing Arts Center. That's huge, you know, for a kid of that age to have that opportunity, something they would remember forever. And I've done research, and I've asked Mr. Don Odom here at the board. I've asked Miss Eaton at Oakland. We traded emails, and I cannot get specifics that there is an advanced program for the choir program in 2010-2011 at Oakland Middle. There is a choir. I got a very short email from Miss Eaton saying there was a choir, and that was about the content. And I really don't have confidence that my kid is not going to take a step backwards in going to Oakland Middle, and that's an extracurricular activity. I understand that, but it's something that, you know, who knows where it could go. He could go to MTSU on a music scholarship for all we know. So it's as far as he wants to take it, and the kids need these extracurriculars that they're interested in to accelerate their learning in, you know, the core curriculum too. So that's important. You know, I just want to just kind of say that, you know, the numbers I got from Mr. Odom, and you may be here, but I don't know you. That Siegel, with the rezoning program, Siegel's enrollment will be down substantially, and I think they'll be kind of on par with Oakland. And the numbers I heard were 950, and that's not my area, and I'm not sure. I know Siegel was near 1,200 by some accounts last year, so I mean, they're down, and Oakland's going to be probably on par with them. And like I said, that's information I'm not privy to, but I've just heard some things. But I would ask that the board, you know, consider this as a way for him to continue his interest, and I believe it goes a long way with helping his interest in his education too. So, you know, thank you for these programs that these kids get to do. Thank you to the music programs. Ms. Derryberry and Principal Delbert did a great job with getting these kids out and getting them some real experience and really doing a great job with it. So, answer questions as you guys have them.
Any questions?
I got one quick, go ahead.
I'll just make a question here. You basically said transportation's not a problem.
No.
How about going to Oakland Middle and then taking choir as that advanced choir out at Siegel?
I wouldn't walk away from that today. I would strongly ask you not to do that to my wife. I think she would be run ragged, so to speak. I have no problem with Oakland Middle, the curriculum, or anything else. My fifth grader, he's there next year, and I'm only asking for one child for 1 year. That's my only request. And I understand your question. And I mean, my wife and I even played scenarios, and that was one of the scenarios that came up with. And I personally, I wouldn't like it, but you know, I wouldn't walk away from that as it stands today. But I certainly would ask that with a family our size and kids going every which way, it's hard to keep up with everybody.
I would say this, that back in the spring, we had a lot of looks at zoning exemptions, and there were a lot of people that were asking similar things. They were denied. I mean, I don't know what the board will do now, but because of the Siegel and Oakland and going back and forth, they were denied earlier. So from my standpoint, to approve this one, I know it's just one child, but it affects many who have been denied. So board will do what it wants to do.
I guess I just don't, if it's something that the child is losing, I guess that's my point here. That he's having something taken away from him, and it's something that he would have to play catch up in perhaps in the 9th grade, but it's something he's losing, and I don't feel like it's right for a child to lose something in a zoning scenario.
I understand, Mr. Gill.
First of all, you're right on Oakland having 950, and I wish you were right on Siegel having 1,000. But I think I think we're a little more than that at Siegel, even with the rezoning. Does anybody know the numbers off the top of the head? Yeah, there are a few more there. They still are overcrowded to the point where they're going to use portables. But I'd like to know about this advanced choir program. Do you take that, is that an after-school activity that you do with the choir director? I mean, we didn't dedicate a period during the course of the day for advanced choir at that level.
Kids stay after school, and normally what happens is you meet with the normal choir, and then you put in an additional 45 minutes to an hour with the select program. So you're already there meeting with the normal choir, and these kids are part of the normal choir too. It's just they're set apart by audition.
Music teachers are a lot like coaches. They don't mind giving of themselves and giving time. Not that any teacher does, I don't apply that. But I would suspect that Oakland will have a similar program after school, whereby the music teacher works with kids, tries to refine the quality of their choir program. Personally, I think he'll get the same services at Oakland that he gets at Siegel. If he didn't, I'd be disappointed.
I've tried very diligently to research this. And I know the guys at Oakland are incredibly busy trying to get the doors open, and they're not responding to emails and calls. But and I have the same concern that in year one, it'll be a startup application where the core programs won't suffer, but these finer things. It took years for Siegel to get this program into at this level. I mean, not everybody gets called to come to New York and perform. I mean, these kids are special, and I mean, they're really special.
Mr. Kelly?
One of my concerns might be that acceptance of him being an Oakland student, going over there for that choir, and I'm not for sure how that might affect their
there's a bit of
acceptance of him,
rivalry.
Acceptance for him.
There's a bit of rivalry, that gets by these schools, and I grew up in Nashville and went to Glencliff, and if somebody would have told me I could appoint and play football at Antioch, I don't think that went over real well. That's just.
Mr. Wise, just two things. I've spoken to Ms. Eaton about this issue because Mr. Odom told me that Mr. Derry or Mr. Carter was concerned about this, and part of it depends on what kind of choir students she has, because your child, from my understanding, is part of the group that's called the Select Singers, or the Select Choir, something along those lines. And she plans to have a comparable choir, but it kind of also depends, does she have other advanced students that can make up a special group? She doesn't really know the answer completely yet, but she's a competitive person, as most principals are. It makes them good principals, and and I think she's eager to have the best program in the county. I mean, any principal will tell you their program's the best, and she wants that opportunity too. And then two, you were correct. In last month at the Zoning Exemption Appeals, we had a family who lived on Antietam Drive, Antietam Lane, which is just down the road from you. A very similar situation. It was a different extracurricular activity, but needed it because of logistical reasons and things like that, and the board did deny for that reason. But just to show what we've done in the past.
Dr. Burns, you got a question?
Mr. Carter, thank you for coming. You made a really good case. But in 6 years on the board, I don't think we've ever granted a zone exemption appeal for an extracurricular activity. And if we start doing that, I hesitate to think where we would be. I think Terry came up with it. I know it's not ideal for your family, but I think he came up with about the best solution, which is to say that the child can participate in the choir at Siegel if he wants. And I know that means extra running around, but I don't see how we can offer much more. So I would move that we deny the request for an exemption, but that we allow the student to participate in the choir program that he's currently involved in.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Doris?
I think before they make a decision, they should give Oakland Choir an opportunity to, you may find that they will be provide just as good a program as the one we're leaving. I know there's a comfort zone you'd be giving up, but I think that would work. The thing that I've noticed about our children in this county is they're a great there is great talent here, musically, athletically, and so many things. And we have the privilege of hearing these children sometimes, and there's just a wealth of talent here.
I understand, I believe what you say is correct, but where I would take exception is the fact that it's an unknown. And I don't know the situation of the case last month, but you know, he's losing, and he will not receive the same education, whether you call it an extracurricular or core. It will not be the same education. It will not be, not to him, and that's a shame. And I'm disturbed by but it is what it is. But I wish you'd reconsider.
Well, many times we have people coming up saying, well, my child was exceptional, he's going to do this. He already has done it. He's got the honors to show it. And quite a few, I know when I went to school, if I got to go to Nashville, I thought that was something, Of course, things change. But the bottom line, he's already shown it. I don't know how many different places you talked about that he excelled or went as a result of that. And so I'm going to have to vote against this. And I guess an additional reason is, of course, talking about eighth grader. This would be a situation where it's just one time. And if people meet these type of criteria, then we may have to deal with it. I certainly don't want to set a precedence, but the same token, if they meet some of the criteria he has and has been accepted and excelled in these programs, then it's not a matter of saying our child is going to be another Einstein. He's already shown that he's been accepted by a different group, so I'm going to have to vote against it. I'd like for consideration to be looked along that line.
Any other questions? Motion on the floor. All in favor of the motion to deny, number saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Denied.
Is the offer off the table for him to participate at Siegel Middle?
That was
That was part of the
That was part of the motion.
That was part of the motion, so he is approved to do that?
That's your family's option. You can choose either one, is what I'm understanding.
Right, that was my intent, to give him that option.
Okay. We would choose to do it.
All right, we don't have a,
We're done. The next board meeting will be after the school starts, so I'm hoping there won't be any additional zoning commission appeals, but we've had a few of those lingering from the year before.
okay, we have no visitors, so spotlight on education.
Mr. Odom.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, take it away, please.
As you know, we have summer training for our administrators training. About 2 weeks ago, we did invite, as part of our summer training, Dr. June Rivers. Dr. June Rivers works for SAS, which is the people that does TVAS. SAS does, I believe I'm correct, I know they do Tennessee, I believe they do North Carolina, I believe it's Pennsylvania and Ohio as far as statewide, but there's some other places where they operate around the country, in individual districts. But she produced some documents that I thought that you would find interesting tonight, and so I just want to share that briefly with you to kind of see what we're talking about. And one of the Dr. Rivers is the wife of Bill Sanders, Dr. William Sanders, who is the author of the Tennessee Value Added Assessment, and started in 91, 92 in that area. He talks about the statistics of it. She talks about the application of it. So what you have in front of you, and these are all her documents, and I copied them from a PDF, so they don't have excellent clarity like we usually can have. But if you take a look at this particular document you're looking at today, they plot schools in the state, and down the left-hand side, you see grades 3 through 8 value added from the highest to the lowest. And then across the top, ACT measured progress after 8th grade. In other words, measuring what is the growth of the students after the 8th grade. Now, if a school system was in the middle, or the average for elementary, and the middle for high school, they would be in that yellow box right in the very center of that 9-block matrix. She told us in this session, as one of the compliments for Rutherford County, she said, if you'll see where we are in the upper right-hand block. So we are categorized as compared. And Dr. Burns, I try to bring things that sometimes somebody else brings as information comparison with others. As far as value-added scores, Rutherford County sits in the highest corner for high school and the highest corner for elementary, the combined two. So we're not just producing value-added gains in K-8 or just value-added gains in high school. So you're in a very elite group sitting in that particular position. So that I think that's something that makes you proud for your school system.
Don, please define for us value-added. What does that mean?
Value added is different from achievement in that it takes students receive a score, a percentile rank, and it doesn't matter how difficult the test is or how easy the test might be. There'll be some students from 1 percentile to 99 percentile. That's how they're ranked. And so, what value added measures? What change are you making in your students relative to all other students in the state of Tennessee? If, for example, if I'm at the 50th percentile and I'm in your class, Mr. Jernigan, and I come out of your year with a 51 percentile, comparatively speaking, across the state, you have added value to me. And so my gains are above. And, of course, they have averages for that across the state, you know, but average across the state is really the 50th percentile. No. So what we're saying is our teachers, I give credit to our teachers, administrators, and everybody on the whole team. They're producing a product here that's adding value, you know, to kids in elementary through high school. That places us.
Of course, when you're adding value, you're doing well in achievement.
And that helps our students compete for scholarships, compete for all the other things that you're dealing with as you get better. In other words, what you're saying, the longer you're in Rutherford County schools, the higher your achievement is likely to be if we can maintain this particular level of performance. And again, that's, compares to all the systems across the state of Tennessee.
It speaks to what's important to us.
Yes, sir, I think it does.
Be adding value to.
Right, and I think you've supported us in that, and that's what I want to say, and I think our teachers and administrators have delivered on that. I think that's important.
Hey, Don, just quickly, talk about effect data. I know we can't share individual teachers with the exception of...
I'm going to show them one of those in just a minute. Can I do that?
Very good.
I'm going to do that. Okay. My next question to Dr. Rivers, as she was talking with administrators about this, there is a link between...
Can I ask a question before we go to
Yes, sir.
that next slide? The ACT, is that more of an achievement test, or is that more I know the left column is value added. The ACT measure of progress
is across from left to right.
Right.
See, what the Tennessee is changing with the American Diploma Project and all the things are changing now is ACT readiness.
Right.
So you're going to see over the next several years when you talk about comparison for high school and achievement in high school, it's going to be based upon the ACT readiness requirement. And
we really haven't seen much the score.
You're not seeing much of that. No, you really haven't seen much of that. But that is the new mantra that came along with the new standards, and everything that happened will be compared to ACT readiness. 26, in science, 22 in math, I think it is, or 24. I mean, I don't have it in front of me now, but just for each one of them.
It's a national standard, right?
It's a national standard. ACT puts that out.
Right. Thank you.
Of course, my immediate question to her is, how do we rank? And, if we rank this, how do we rank on hits on TVAS? Because I had heard the statistics a long time ago, and if you look at that little statement, systems with greater progress rates on average also have more logins. In other words, your teachers are looking at the data more. Your administrators are looking at the data more. That's how you get better. You look at, where does Rutherford County rank? She said you rank 5th in the state of, 135 districts? Well, my next question, who's number 1, 2, 3, 4? So she started naming for me. She could name them all but one. And the ones that are lower than us are some of these one school districts and one of these very small districts. And as she named them off, and of course what would happen there is some of those are city systems, one school districts. So, You know, if they have 75 teachers and they all log in, they got 100% login. But you don't have TVAS scores for career and technical education. You do not have TVAS scores for some of the arts areas and all. So in a system our size that has large numbers of people in all of these other related areas, you're probably not going to get quite as high a percentage of login simply because it is not as of high interest to those people. So as she named those small school districts, I thought, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we're not of the large school districts number one. If not, we're certainly up there. We're 5 overall when you consider all the factors. So there's a link between, it's the same thing the PLC people tell us. The schools and the districts that pay attention to the data score higher. This is what Mr. McGill's, I'm going to share this with you because she gave it to us again. And I don't think the teachers have seen this. There are new reports coming out for teachers. TVAS is going to send every certified person in the state and a login, an address to go into TVAS and look at scores. A first-year teacher will get something like this. They're dividing teachers under this new, when teachers' evaluations will be tied to their performance in TVAS, which the legislature passed, if you remember. They have 5 categories. The colors are not distinct on that, but from the lowest at the bottom to the highest. They call it effectiveness. It's teacher effectiveness. Highly effective is your top one, your top green one there. And then highly ineffective is really your bottom one. A first-year teacher, after 1 year of teaching, will get something that looks like this. It'll show all of those levels from top to bottom across the state in gains, value-added gains. And if this were a teacher, there's a bar out there that would show them for 2010 when it's over, that little blue bar, and then a dotted line across to let them see how they compare with other teachers across the state in their effectiveness after the first year. So teachers are going to be introduced to this very, very quickly. Yes, sir?
Is this information coming from that system we had so many problems with a couple of years ago? Is it entered into that?
No, this comes from the TVAS. This comes from Tennessee Value Added Assessment System. I'm not.
So it's a different.
It's not a horizon. I mean, attendance or anything like that. It's the testing system. It gets a little tougher. She gave this one. If you have 2 years, or if you have a teacher with 4 years, they will get a report, or 3 years, 3 years, they'll get a report that looks something like this. They will get a report showing where they are in the ranking, in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, from ineffective to effective, and then they're going to show them out at the right how many other teachers in the state are like they are. How many more are in that category? So there's really high stakes involved in this new teacher evaluation system, but they're giving teachers a lot of information about where they are. And like I say, I don't think teachers and all have seen this, and this probably will not be the final resolution because there's still that committee's meeting about how to apply this and tie it to teacher evaluation. But I just thought you might be interested as a board seeing how we did as a system overall and kind of what's coming down the road for teachers.
Looks like to me we've got one of the best performing systems, don't we? Thank you, Ms. Dolan. Any other question, Ms. Dolan? All right. Number 9, Mr. Gill.
Application for extended learning programs for 2010-2011. The extended contract application and allocation for 2010-2011 school year has been received. State will fund extended contracts for 2010-2011 using American Reinvestment Recovery Act of 2009, the ARRA funds. Rutherford County's allocation of $225,000 is identical to the 2009-2010 allocation. The Extended Contract Committee is seeking approval to submit the application using the same program parameters that Rutherford County has been using for the past several years. Those parameters in priority are 1, summer school, 2, school year remediation and intervention programs, 3, school year enrichment programs, and 4, skills training for enhanced potential, step with Nissan. Most of the money goes for summer school, to be honest. Recommend that Rutherford County Schools extend learning programs applications for 2010-2011 when the allocation is received using the following parameters. 1, summer school, school year remediation intervention programs. 3, school year enrichment programs. And 4, skills training for enhanced potential step with Nissan. And 5, outstanding performance.
You've heard the recommendation, have a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 10.
Also, let me just say that we had a discussion on all these items last night at our work session, and I know they play that pretty regularly on the local county television station if you want to see that discussion. School nutrition. Mr. Fred Blair, School Nutrition Coordinator, is recommending the following changes to the satellite cafeteria operations. No current satellite managers will be affected by these changes, so it is a good time to adjust this program. Recommendations and reasons behind them are as follows. 1, Rock Springs Middle to satellite Smyrna West. Thurman Francis originally served this site but has requested to be removed of these duties. Dr. Estrie, the principal at Rock Springs Middle, is in agreement with the change. 2, Blackman High School to satellite to Holloway High School and Daniel McKee Alternative School. Central Middle originally served this site, but due to personnel changes, incoming manager has no school nutrition experience. Oakland High School was also considered but declined the additional responsibilities. Ms. Vick, principal of Blackman High, agrees with the change. 3, McFadden to satellite Homer Pittard Campus School. Central Middle originally served this site but is changing to Central Magnet High School, which cannot meet menu requirements for elementary school. Dr. Blair is in agreement with the change. It's also recommended that the pay scale for the satellite managers be changed. Manager with 1 satellite operation will be at a level 4.5, and a manager with 2 or more additional schools will be at a level 5.0. High schools with a 9th grade annex will be considered as 1 school and would no longer be eligible for additional pay. Recommend that change these assignments and compensation for satellite cafeteria operations as presented.
Heard the recommendation, have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes.
11, Homer Pittard Campus School Contract Amendment. Middle Tennessee State University has offered to amend the contract we have for Homer Pittard Campus School in order to provide a 10-month secretary clerk. In its sole discretion, on an annual basis, the university may either provide the services of a 10-month secretary clerk to work at campus school as mutually determined, or fund one such county position in an amount not to exceed the midpoint of a university technical clerk position or the county's average salary for a comparable county secretary clerk position, whichever is less. Except as may be provided otherwise in this agreement, the county shall be responsible for providing and funding all other campus school staffing needs, which we do. Recommend that you approve an amendment, number 3, to the contract with Middle Tennessee State University in order to provide a 10-month clerical position at the school as presented.
You've heard the recommendation, have a motion.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Whatever.
You get that, Joyce? Any discussion?
I have
Go ahead.
Is this person are we going to pick up benefits? Will this person be provided those benefits?
Yes.
Okay. So, the university will pay salaries,
We
we'll pay
take care
benefits.
of benefits, yes.
Any other questions?
And they'll ultimately provide, benefit the university from a standpoint, as I said the other night. They'll be logging when folks come in from the university. They'll be working with the university coordinate program. But at the same time, we'll be able to use their talents as well.
Any other questions? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
12, financial matters. Playground equipment and rubber surfacing for 21 schools. Just a second. Special Education Department requests board approval to purchase $3,140,904.40 in playground equipment and rubber surfacing from Krause Craft Incorporated and Kids Zone Play Systems for 21 schools. The system will use its federal stimulus, ERA funds, for this purchase. This equipment and rubber surfacing meets the requirements for the ERA Section 1605 and ERA Section 1606. The rubber surfacing will provide accessibility for all students and will be at a lower maintenance cost. The rubber surfacing will also include interactive games, The new equipment will incorporate special education inclusion for students. Total cost for the equipment and the rubber surfacing is $3,140,904.40. This cost includes all equipment and installation. The special education department will pay for 100% of this purchase utilizing its carryover era stimulus funds. The board approves. The purchase will still be contingent on formal state approval. This price is utilizing the TPCN contract R4967 to Craft Incorporated and Williamson County Board of Education's contract to Kids Zone Play System, and recommend that you approve the purchase of $3,140,904.40 in playground equipment and rubber surfacing from Craft Incorporated and Kids Zone Play Systems for 21 schools from special ed carryover era stimulus funds contingent on formal state approval as presented.
Heard the recommendation. Have a motion.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
B, energy sensors at the two new middle schools. Oakland and Whitworth Buchanan middle schools need to be added to our energy sensor project. These schools were not included in the original project because they were in the earlier stages of construction when the project was designed. Excel Energy's total cost for 498 sensors, which is $249 per school, will be $149,400. $47,310 in EESI grant funds are available for part of the project. The remaining $102,090 can be funded either through change orders in the building fund or the general purpose school budget. That funding source will be determined later on. And obviously, we're recommending that you approve applying this $47,300 EESI grant. And obviously, I want to make sure everybody understands this money that we receive from the state, we don't pay back, and we can utilize it as an incentive for part of this program. And to authorize Excel Energy to proceed with installing energy sensors at Oakland and Whitworth Buchanan Middle Schools after the EESI grant is awarded.
Heard the recommendation. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Did you have a discussion, Wayne?
No, sir, I'm sorry.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 13.
On June 4, 2010, bids were received for the replacement windows at Homer Pittard Campus School. There were 3 bids received from the following contractors. Southeast Contractors, $315,946. The Richardson Group, $368,447.67. Dale Incorporated, $598,500. 2 addendums were sent out prior to the bids being received. Staff contacted the 2 lowest bidders and requested bid breakdowns and sample of the proposed windows to be used that met the project specifications. Below are the breakdowns and information on the proposed window supplier. And the one that we're recommending was $265,809 for materials and installation. Removal and disposal of existing windows, $35,137, and allowance for wood replacement if needed, $15,000 total, $315,946. And we will be, Rutherford County will do lead abatement price $52,000, which is coming off the total bill. So we're recommending that you approve the Richardson Group for lowest and best bid for window installation at Homer Pittard Campus School in the amount of $249,447.67. Lead abatement will be performed through Rutherford County Board of Education's existing environmental bid.
Heard the recommendation. Have a motion.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Grant?
I just wondered why Dale was so much higher. It was some misunderstanding on what they were bidding on, or did you notice any particular,
You know, I think sometimes they don't think they're going to get it, and some people think that they'll be the only bidder, and they'll get the contract with enormous profit.
They don't want it, but if they get it, they want to make some money on it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Awful lot.
Ms. Blair?
Mr. Clardy, because we got such a good deal on the 2 new middle schools. These projects now, are they being bid as they were in the past, or are they still staying down? Was Was this less than what you were expecting?
I think we actually had, $400 and something thousand in that project. Of course, we're getting it for 301. So there'll be some money left over there. But on the other hand, that will allow us to move across town a little bit and do hallway, window, hopefully. So they are, actually, prices are still down.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, let me know by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. B, engineering. contract.
Engineering contract for Kittrell and Las Casas wastewater treatment facilities repair and design. Site Engineering Consultants has submitted a proposal for repair design of the existing wastewater facilities at Las Casas Elementary School and Kittrell Elementary School to satisfy the state of Tennessee's immediate requirements. A listing of future tasks that are required is also included along with the pricing. The total engineering fees for each project is $32,125, with the majority of that money to be spent in future fiscal years. Funds of $109,000 for each project are approved in the 2010-2011 capital improvements list. These funds will cover the immediate repairs and engineering fees. Recommend that we approve Site Engineering Consultants for design of repairs to the Las Casas and Kittrell wastewater treatment facilities to satisfy state of Tennessee's requirement as presented.
Heard the recommendation, have a motion.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? Grant?
Just for the information for the public, how is Site Engineering Consultants, how are they able to go without a bid on this? We have
The
some
professional services, you don't have to bid out. Yeah.
Kind of explain for the public, because they always want bids, and they get calls.
Well, I mean, you know, like I say, the state doesn't require that you bid professional services, and this falls under professional services. And, you know, typically, it's people we've used in the past, and we compare prices that they charge other counties, and we know it's, yeah, I mean, it's a good, very good question, Grant, but we know it's, you know, not inflated, and that it's, you know, we're gonna get quality work, but.
Have some pretty good parameters going in.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
14, transportation. Pursuant to policy 1-41 bus contract award procedures, the new contractor lists for the 2010-2011 school year are presented for approval in order to facilitate the awarding of new bus contracts on a timely basis for the beginning of the new school year and thereafter as contracts are turned in to the Transportation Department throughout the year. These four lists are first priority regular drivers, second priority are part-time or sub-drivers, third priority those who have turned down the opportunity, and the fourth list are those who currently own one or more contracts. Recommended you approve the potential first, second, third priority contractors list and the fourth list of current contractors for the 2010-2011 school year.
Okay, have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the next one is revised policies. Mr. Gill, unless anybody's got one that they want to pull out, this is the second reading on this, and it's on, if anybody wants to look at them, they can get online and look at those, and it would just, you know, I think we just go ahead and do the recommendation, because it's a long list.
Is that all right with everyone? I'm sure it is.
So moved.
Second?
Yes.
Any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. 16.
16, negotiation team for 2010-2011. Tennessee Code Annotated 49-5-608A1 requires the Board of Education to designate and certify a negotiations management team within the first 2 months of the fiscal year. I want to recommend and congratulate the following people. We're going to approve the following individuals to the management team for the 2010-2011 school year. Paula Barnes, Shirley Bell, Jackie Elam, Joe Marlin, and Kim Day.
Heard the recommendation, have a motion.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Second?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear him, I'm sorry.
So you're going to start raising your hand in addition to
Yeah, I guess that's.
Any discussion?
Hey, it's
Sorry.
just bad here, Grant.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We had the written report on the insurance the other night. I don't know that that's necessary again. I've caused enough problems with that.
The only thing, if you're a participant in our insurance plan, you get something in the mail, or you got something in the mail the last 2 days, don't
It's
open it,
important.
throw it in the trash. It's important.
It's important.
It's where you meet certain guidelines to qualify for eligibility, and the last thing you want to do is not meet that deadline. So if you've thrown it in the trash, I suggest that you do some dumpster diving and get it back out.
Or call somebody and get another one.
Yeah.
You have a question, Terry?
No, I was just going to make another comment. I meant to say something about it last night. I'd like to see our representatives give us an update before you go to the meeting. Basically, where from board level, we can provide some input. You know, I've heard from a lot of people that are pretty well dissatisfied with what went down. And I think from a board level, I think we got a lot of say-so in it. So, next time you go, if you could bring us up to date what's going on and let us put our input into it, if you would.
When's the next insurance meeting?
They're usually on the third Thursday of the month, but yeah. And so our next one is in August, so we'll have plenty of time.
Well, Ms. Barnes and Mr. Savvy and I met today, talked about, make sure everybody was informed as to what's going on. There are 6 separate sessions planned in October at various locations across the county for open enrollment. With respect to GASB 45, which is really where the issue's coming out, and it applies to all, the real area of dissatisfaction has been the employees that are the 10 to 20 year range, and approximately 150 of them across the county. And I know we've advocated for those folks at the insurance committee, but the school system has 3 members of the insurance committee, and there's how many on the committee? 13? 14? And even though I guess probably 70% of the members or the carriers of insurance belong to the school system, we only have 3 out of 14 represented. And I don't know if that's going to go anywhere, but I think it's important that they know that we are advocating for them, we're fighting for them, and hopefully, maybe there'll be a different consideration for them. But we've also discussed putting out maybe using our phone system to notify potential changes and do some other avenues of notification. So we're trying to do our part. Mr. Hodge?
I get, and I understand that, but I guess what I'm saying, if these people knew what was going on, these people affected, they could hammer that other 11 or 12 people on that committee.
Right.
I guess that's where I'm coming from that aspect of it.
Any other comments? Okay. 18, I think, huh? Is it 17 or 18? 18.
Well, that was just the information only. We
Okay.
covered that last night.
All right, number 19, select the site for new high school.
Yeah, we gave a presentation last night. We gave a presentation last night on 2 potential scenarios for zoning a new high school, or for selecting a new high school. Obviously, the earliest that school will open will be 2013. Of course, from my perspective, we need to get paddling hard, and we need to start lobbying support, and I'd like to go ahead and get it done. If not tonight, at least soon. And that said, we're going to have one high school with possibly 28 or 2,900 students in 2013. Blackman will probably have 2,600. Smyrna High will be at 23. Riverdale at 23 or 24. So we're going to have to move on this. I have obviously expressed my feelings with respect to where it should go and prepared to make a recommendation, but I'm going to ask you guys kind of reveal what you want us to do.
Mr. Hodge?
I would just like to make a recommendation that I mean, I could vote tonight. I pretty well did my research on it, but I think in fairness to Mr. Jernigan not being here, you know, I'd like to see this put off till August. And I know Mr. Carty expressed earlier here that the longer we put it off, the harder it is on him. But I'd like to let Mr. Jernigan have the same information we've got and come back here in August board meeting and make a decision then.
I don't disagree with that. Are we gonna, when we get to August, are we gonna put it off again, or are we gonna vote on it?
I'm ready to vote. I mean, I can vote tonight, but in fairness to Mr. Jernigan, I'd rather wait.
Mr. Blair?
Mr. Gill, may we have access to Mr. Morgan, you know, for questions and maybe some tweaking that we would like to maybe meet with him possibly, or
That's fine by me. Just make yourself available to, I mean, it's a big decision. I want to make sure everybody, one, makes the right decision, feels comfortable with what they're doing.
Echo what he said. I talked with several county commissioners, and as you know, I think it's a little election coming up here in a couple of days here, and so they're not meeting before then. And then the meeting after that, they historically, of course, I remember that for a few years, don't take up any big new issues unless it's emergency. It's usually just monthly type thing until after the new members are sworn in. So it wouldn't be any action taken. And as a matter of fact, some of them thought it would be a little bit longer than that, but at least that. So I think next month at least would give us a chance to have some input from them.
I want to go back to the point I made though, Grant. I mean, yes, we can't go, we need to wait until the new commission's elected. Obviously, I think it's unfair to ask them to vote on a $50 million school in advance of that. But there are conversations with them weeks out by me to say, hey, here's why we need this school. I mean, I can't go down there in one night, sell them on building a $50 million high school. I mean, you work, it's a working process. It's something that, I mean, let's look at these two schools we're opening Sunday. I mean, that wasn't done overnight. It was done with dialogue with commissioners and persuasion. And if we recall, we got a no vote, and 30 days later turned around and they voted, 4 people saw the light and came around and helped voted in support of it. So the sooner we get it done, the sooner I can go to work on talking to these guys and laying out what our plan is and what our needs are. That's all I'm saying.
Well, as I studied this material, I kept asking myself, is this school needed? And I kept coming back to the answer. When I look at the statistics, this school is needed. If it's needed, then it's our responsibility to move forward with it. And if we approve this step, then we take it to the commission for funding. And I asked myself, if I had funding authority, would I recommend this? I answered yes. We don't have funding authority, so we have to go to the commission to obtain the assets. So we take the first step, and I think that's what we need to be doing, is take that first step, get to where we need, get a school site, recommend, and take it to the county commission. Because we do need this additional high school. By the time we can get it online, there's going to be more than enough students there.
We could use it now.
I think, in all honesty, Mr. Jernigan and I have almost 17 years of experience on the Board of Education. I certainly, and I think Mr. Jernigan feels the same way, I certainly would like to vote on this wherever it goes. But I know the board's going to make that decision, and if they choose not to let us vote, then I guess they choose not to let us vote. But I would like to do it in August. So that's just what I'm coming from. I think you feel the same way, don't you?
Yes, I do.
All right. Any more discussion on it? I mean, was that out of order, or was that okay to say?
Well, we're going to go ahead and vote on. We actually had a motion in a second, did we not?
No, we did not. We're not going to vote.
Okay,
no.
okay. I'm talking about voting on, putting it off next week, the next month.
We do have a motion to put it off, yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
That's right. We are going to vote on that.
We don't have a second.
I didn't think we had a second either.
But it will be on the agenda for August. Correct?
What's that?
It will be on the agenda for August.
Yeah, I want to vote on it in August.
Put it on the next agenda.
That
You
was
have a
my,
second
that was my second, I thought, but maybe I didn't second it, okay.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Did you say, I'm sorry.
I thought I originally did second it, and I'll do it now if it needs it.
Any more discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. General discussion by board members. If none? God bless everybody. Adjourned.
That was a new closer.